The brand new season of Survivor is almost here, and joining me now is one of this season's featured contestants, Tiyana Hallums. Tiyana, how are you? I'm so excited to get to speak with you.
Oh, goodness me. I am literally so excited to be here. The fact that you even took the time to have me on your show just means the absolute world. And I am a whole ball of nerves and anxiety and
Yes.
excitement, like all wrapped up into one. It's a crazy time right now.
Yes, I am so excited for this season. Every new Survivor premiere feels like Christmas morning to me. So, as I mentioned, you are one of the contestants featured on this season. So, for starters, why don't you just tell our viewers a little bit about yourself so they can kind of get to know you before, tuning into this season?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, little background about me. I'm born and raised in Hawaii. I'm actually a melting pot of a bunch of races inside of me. I'm a quarter Black, a quarter Hawaiian, a quarter Danish, Japanese, Chinese, Filipino. So, hopefully, someone out there sees a little bit of themselves in me in that moment. I graduated from an all Hawaiian school, so you had to be Hawaiian to get in. I graduated in 2015. Then I went to go play indoor volleyball at Gonzaga University in Spokane, Washington, where I got my bachelor's in kinesiology with a concentration in fitness. And then I went on to play sand volleyball for the University of Utah, got my master's in educational leadership and policy. And I had a quarter life crisis. I didn't know what I wanted to do. All I knew was that I wanted to travel. So I was able to get a job as a flight attendant for Hawaiian Airlines. And that's where I'm at currently. And my dream is to be a pilot. So
Oh
that
my
is the rundown
gosh.
a little bit about me.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. I thought the direction you were going to go with that was I wanted to travel, so naturally I went to Fiji to desert myself on an island. But, the flight attendant thing works too. So I am curious, I feel like I kind of have an idea based off, kind of your journey that you just told me about. But why did you want to compete on Survivor?
No, absolutely. I feel like I'm always someone that wants to challenge themselves to see what I'm capable of, to see what I can do, to see how I can expand as a person. And I feel like one of the biggest things that I wanted to take away from this experience is the shadow work that comes with it. Every single contestant that comes out of Survivor has said, "Oh my gosh, I've changed so much as a person," or "I've had a completely different outlook on life." And I'm like, oh, how could I change? Like, I wonder what going on a freaking island in Fiji, getting bit up by spiders and starving and, just like being exposed to all these people that I would have never met in my day to day life. And I wondered what could come of that for me. What could I see inside of myself that I wasn't able to see in my normal day to day life? So I think that one of the biggest things, obviously, adventure of a lifetime, $1 million, those are all boring. I think that the shadow work and just learning more about myself was why I wanted to come on to Survivor and why I wanted to see what I could do.
Yeah, I mean, the ultimate challenge is just testing yourself to see how far you can go, right? So I feel like that's kind of where you're going with that. Now, did you have any kind of, specific plans or tactics going into filming that, before you stepped onto that beach that you were like, okay, this is kind of where my plan is and kind of what I'm going to be looking for when I'm going into filming?
Absolutely. I think the number one thing that I tried to tell myself was that I wanted to separate emotion from gameplay. And it's always really, really difficult. Obviously, you're out there with these people, you've created this community, and it's hard not to feel something for those people when that's the only things that you have out there other than a coconut and a freaking piece of bamboo. Like, these people really do become your society, really do become your support. And a lot of the times your support is also trying to get you out. So it's just such an incredibly dynamic game. And I think that one of the biggest strategy points for me was that I wanted to play a ruthless game, but I also didn't want to lose myself in that. So I think that that balance is something that I wanted to challenge myself in because I never actually have to be two-faced or lie to people in my day-to-day life. And so I think that it was something that I wanted to push outside the envelope of who I am.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And I like that you say that because I do feel like a lot of people enter a show like this and feel like they kind of have to take on this persona, but being yourself gets you just as far sometimes. So, you seem very well-rounded. I feel like you've got a lot of varying kind of life experience that you spoke on, but what would you say is maybe your greatest strength and how do you think that's going to help you in a game like this?
For sure. I think my greatest strength for this game in particular is just my competitive edge. Playing Division 1 volleyball, it's not always about feelings. It's about the result. It's about how you end up performing. And so I think that that's going to keep me very grounded in terms of competition. And I've had to play in really high stakes before where we've played in Nebraska in front of like 10,000 plus fans with fire freaking cannons all over the place. And you have to keep your cool and you have to figure out how am I going to make this the best possible situation and outcome that I could possibly get? And so being an athlete and being a competitor, I really wanted to push the envelope. I also wanted to make sure that I was contributing to my tribe in every single asset because I am a competitor. I really do like I feel like every single time I get into competition mode, everything blacks out and I don't even really remember the competition. It's all instinct at that point. And so being able to take what I've learned outside in this like Division 1 volleyball game and collegiate volleyball and bring it into the island, I think that that's going to be a huge asset for me.
Yeah, yeah, I'm excited to see how that piece of it plays out. Now, obviously there's 46 seasons, before you, ahead of you, however you want to look at that. Any one particular maybe or a few Survivor players that you kind of draw inspiration from or feel like you will play most similarly to?
Absolutely. Because I was speaking so highly about like being my genuine self, I think that one of the biggest Survivor winners that stands out to me and that really moved me, in particular, was Marianne. I think that she was such an underdog literally the entire time. And I don't think anyone saw her as a really big threat because she was playing an authentic game. And when you're playing with people who are lying, deceiving all the time, that's something that gets overlooked because they're like, oh, Marianne, we already know what her game plan is. We already know what she's about. She says it out loud. She wears her heart on her sleeve, and there's all these things. And so I feel like I really wanted to emulate this game that Marianne played where she didn't lose herself, but she still won. She was still an incredible competitor. She still pulled out the idol last minute and said, I had this. I just didn't need to use it ever. Like that was the biggest mic drop moment. And I think that she was such a snake in the grass that no one really understood. Like it's almost like her gameplay was like the first of her kind. Like there wasn't really before in previous seasons when there's other winners and stuff. They're very cutthroat, they're very strategic, they're very game oriented, they're challenge oriented. Like we've seen all these types of players like Ozzy who is really good at challenges. But we haven't seen someone who's authentically themselves and stays true to themselves and gets to the end and wins. Like I think that that was just amazing. And I think that that was something that I truly wanted to emulate when I got on that sand, is that I wanted to play a cutthroat game, but I also didn't want to lose myself in that moment.
Yeah, it's a testament to the fact that authenticity is key in situations like this. So my final question for you, why do you feel like you have what it takes to be sole survivor?
Absolutely. I really do think that I bring a lot to this game. I also feel like because I'm from Hawaii, obviously I wanted to cut throats, as you've seen in my interviews before. However, I think that aloha spirit is going to make people feel very cared for. And when people do care about you, it's hard to vote you out, and that's just like a natural game of life, which is why separating emotion and strategy in Survivor is so difficult, because when you do start to care about someone, it's really hard to be like, oh, wait, this is still a game, and like to continue to, pull back on that. So I think that when I make these like very strong emotional connections, it's going to be hard to send me home. And I want people to think twice about sending me home, obviously. I don't want it to be that easy. So I think that when it comes to my strategy and my gameplay, me being the genuine person that I am, I want that to be an asset in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I like that you've really thought about that. A lot of strategy going into filming there, it seems like. So how can fans keep up with you online throughout the season?
Yes, absolutely. I am on Instagram on Tiyana Hallums, and so it's just my first name, Tiyana, letter K, my last name. On TikTok as well. I am also on TikTok. I really do appreciate the love that I've gotten so far. And honestly, the season hasn't even started, but I already feel so close to this community of Survivor fandom, of Hawaiians in general, of Hawaii. Like it's just such a honor to be able to represent Hawaii as the first ever Native Hawaiian born and raised in Hawaii to play. And so those are the ways that I usually connect with. I'm sometimes on Twitter, not really as much. So Twitter, I'm Yana Bebs. It's like an old nickname that I used to have,
Sure.
YANABEHBZ. It's weird. So not really on Twitter, but mostly on Instagram and TikTok for
Okay,
sure.
perfect. Yeah, well, fans, I'm sure we'll be happy to keep up with you there. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me. Thank you for the representation on screen this season of Survivor. Can't wait to see how you fare on this season.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys.